So we're starting off here in the First Edition two-door, and this isn't gonna be a super long drive. I just wanted to kind of showcase Nate's new Bronco because I love the spec on it. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a review on a two-door Ford Bronco First Edition. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to Raptors Event Stuff for giving me some time with his Bronco. I'm going to include a link to his Instagram and to his YouTube as well. He's going to do a really awesome build on this Bronco. He's going to have a ton of content on it as well. So go subscribe to him and let's get right into the video. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.7 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 17 around town and then 17 on the highway, with power outputs being 330 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go to the front end of this First Edition. So first off, this one is finished in Area 51, and part of the First Edition package is you've got these decals here on either side of the hood, and then coming down below we've got the upgraded LED lights with the accent light. You've got the Bronco logo, and then notice we have the camera right there between the O and the N, and then we do have the steel bumper that also comes with the First Edition that obviously comes up right there. It looks pretty aggressive, and you can see you've got parking sensors integrated into it. This really does look like something that would come from like an aftermarket company, which is a good thing because it looks really aggressive. And also you can actually see the Bilstein position sensitive shocks through the bumper, just like with the Gen 2 Raptor where you can see the Fox shocks. It looks really cool and aggressive. And other than that, there's the front end. Now coming around the side here, we've got 17-inch wheels, and wrapped around that we have 35s. That's part of the Sasquatch package, which the First Edition comes standard with in the front and then over in the rear. And then here is a quick look at the independent front suspension here with the Bronco. That's kind of the big news with the Bronco compared to the Wrangler. You guys can see just how aggressive those tires are. And then also we have the oversized fender flares. We've got our First Edition Sasquatch logo right there. And then I love how they did the mirrors in black, and then also the top as well. You can get a body painted top for like the 2022 model year with the Broncos, but I think this looks better because you've got a lot more contrast happening with the Bronco overall. And then obviously you can see the side view here of the two-door. I think this is the best look. The four-door looks great, but this, I don't know, I think it looks a little bit better. Notice we have another decal there on the back. And then here's a look at the Bilstein position sensitive shocks here from the rear view and all that fun stuff. Now here's our key fob for this First Edition. Notice we have the Bronco logo here, and then we've got the unlock, the lock, and then the remote start function. And then we're going to open up the rear right here. And you guys know I am super annoyed with the opening mechanism here with the Broncos. It's like two-stage, takes forever, and yeah. Anyways, that's a little bit easier. Now actually popping here into the rear, there's actually a decent amount of storage space here on the back of the two-door. And notice everything underneath there, including the front license plate cover, which those are totally lame. But anyways, notice we have a 12-volt right there. Got the Bronco logo there on the light, which is pretty cool. And then also notice how they take the Area 51, put it over here on the roll cage, just like what they did with the Jeep Wranglers. And aside from that, this is the easy part, is actually closing it. Look at that, so much easier. Now finishing things here in the rear, notice that we've got, again, the signature Bronco LED lights. We've got the 35 there on the back with the camera in the middle. And then we have the recovery hook here on the back. And then we've got the receiver hitch, another one on the other side. And then you can see the exhaust tip right there again for that 2.7 liter V6. And then notice the parking sensors integrated here, and also just as nice as the front bumpers. Since this is a two-door, obviously we only have the front door panel to go over because, well, that's the only door panel. Notice we've got the nice soft touch here, and then the Area 51 is carried into the interior. And then here are the front seats. So notice we got the Bronco logo on it, really nice bolstering, and then they are manually adjustable. And then there is the pedal layout just down below. Got that for the hood latch release. Got this for the parking brake. We've got all of our light controls right there. And then aside from that, we're actually going to move the seat forward. So you just got to grab that. And then notice we got the handle right there. And then now you guys can see the back seats. So just like a two-door Wrangler, you can fit people back there comfortably. Obviously, it's just a four-seater in total. Getting in isn't the easiest, but once you're back there, it's actually got a decent amount of space. And I love how there's another Bronco logo there on the floor mat in the center. I think that looks really good. And also how the floor mats go all the way back for the back passengers. But anyways, let's pop in. So here's our steering wheel in the Bronco. Notice we got the leather all around the steering wheel with the Bronco logo in the center. Got all of our controls here for the center stack, voice command, phone controls, cruise control here on the other side with our volume controls. Got our turn signal / windshield wiper stock, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's a center screen that is the same on all of the Broncos. There's not really a difference between any of them, which I think is cool, right? You have consistency across the lineup, but some people that get something like this First Edition might feel like they're getting, you know, kind of, I guess, a little bit of the short end of the stick because they don't get anything special, but they do get special drive modes. So notice we have our normal mode, and then we've got the Eco, we've got the Slippery, we've got the Mud Ruts, and then the Sand, and then special, we've got the Baja, and then the Rock Crawl. So you guys will note that some of the Broncos have the sport mode. First Edition doesn't, but the ones that I've noticed, the ones that have the sport mode don't have the Baja, and the ones that have the Baja don't have the sport mode. So it seems like those kind of replace each other, even though completely different driving circumstances. So here at the top, we have the front stabilizer bar disconnect. We've got the lockers for the front and the rear, and then we got the trail turn assist, and then the stability control, and then the hazard lights. You guys know I went to the Bronco off-rodeo, so I got to use all of those. And I was super impressed with the systems, the fact that you can use these while you're in the middle of like a movement, and even you can use them while you're kind of like moving as well, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, the front stabilizer bar disconnect, that one was the one that was the most impressive to me on the off-rodeo. So here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. Notice we got the backup camera with the trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel and then the bird's eye view. And since this is the First Edition, right, you come fully loaded with all of the cameras, which is definitely a huge positive. There is a camera button down below, which I'll show you guys in a moment, and then that pops the camera view back up, and then notice we have the camera views out of the front. And then you guys might be wondering why there's no trajectory lines for the front camera. There actually is. What you have to do is you have to pop it into 4-wheel low, and then you turn the camera on, and then it'll actually give you the tire lines that'll help out with crawling, which is definitely a huge positive. Now going from that, this one has a 12-inch display. Again, this is part of the First Edition because it comes fully loaded. Not going to go over this too much because I've gone over this in other reviews, but just know, great response time. It's massive. It looks cool. Now down below, we've got our analog controls for the radio. Again, the camera button right there, the auto stop start, and then that's for the parking sensors. Dual zone climate controls here for the front, heated seats, heated steering wheel. No air conditioned seats, but I mean, that's kind of how this segment goes. The Wrangler is the same way. We've got a USB right there and then some extra storage. And then notice it says First Edition. Got the shifter for that 10-speed automatic with the manual shift function. The drive mode select. And then we've got our off-road cruise control. And then you've got your drive line select. So your 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel auto, 4-wheel low. Window controls right here. And then you've got the mirror adjustment, which doesn't want to show up on camera. Center console as well. And then notice the material used there. And then the cup holders. And then finishing things up over here, we have the glove box. Pretty normal setup. Same as what you get in the 4-door actually, and that's all. Up here, we have all of the auxiliary switches. You have 6 different areas where you can do auxiliary switches. And then notice we have the sound deadening here at the top, which I can tell you makes a huge difference having a hard top and the sound deadening. I drove over a soft top Wrangler for today's video, and let me tell you, there's a huge difference in the sound insulation. But anyways, you can take off this part of the top pretty easily. And the back takes a little bit more effort. You guys know the deal, but that's all. So you guys can see here for the Bronco, we've got the 2-door, again, Area 51, and then obviously the black seats. And then you guys can see all of the standard equipment that comes here with the Bronco. And then optional right here. I mean, again, the First Edition comes fully loaded, so it's kind of just letting you know some of the stuff that comes along with it. But anyways, you've got the base MSRP right there, and then the total MSRP on Nate's First Edition, $59,115. Let's take it out and see how the 2-door drives. Let's talk about visibility here in the First Edition. So there's your visibility over the hood, just like any other Bronco. Both the mirrors, they do have blind spot. And then throughout the rest of the rear. And I will say the 2-door has much better rearward visibility compared to the 4-door. It's a pretty big difference. But anyways, let's set off. So we're starting off here in the First Edition 2-door, and this isn't gonna be a super long drive. I just wanted to kind of showcase Nate's new Bronco because I love the spec on it, and I'm gonna let him do all the braking and everything, so we're not gonna get any accelerations or anything like that. We're just gonna kind of be partial throttle. It's only got 38 miles on it, and so gotta let him brake in the engine and all that fun stuff. But anyways, you can actually perceive a difference between a 2-door and a 4-door on road. There's a huge difference off-road, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in today's video. But on road, there is a distinct difference between the Broncos. You can actually feel like the difference with the turning radius and all that. And I'm actually gonna show you guys right up here because we got to turn around. With the two-door, it just, I mean, we won't be able to like, we'll actually be able to perfectly make this. I'm telling you right now, with the four-door, you can't, we would have had to like go into reverse and everything. So like turning radius is so much better on road. And so that's something that's gonna be nice as like a practical car thing, right? And then aside from that, from a ride quality perspective, the four-door feels a little bit smoother because of the longer wheelbase, but it's not a huge difference. It's not like if you get into a two-door, you're gonna be like, wow, this thing's really rough. It's like, you're gonna be like, oh, they're about the same, but the four-door feels just a tiny bit smoother. But if you've never driven a four-door, you wouldn't even know. Like if you, let's say you like drove a two-door and then like weeks later you drove a four-door, you really wouldn't be able to perceive the difference. It's got to be back to back. Now, aside from that, the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about was with the off-road use. Off-road, the two-door does substantially better. And I mean, it makes sense. Everyone knows the two-door vehicles always do a little bit better because they have, especially with the breakover angles, are just so much better compared to four-door vehicles. When I took a Wild Track and a Badlands off-road at the off-rodeo, with the Wild Track that was a two-door, I didn't scrape the bottom at all. With the Badlands, several times. And thank goodness the Broncos have skid plates, right? But yeah, other than that, I love the spec on Nate's Bronco. I think it looks great interior and exterior wise. And he said he's probably going to just do the regular paint protection film on the outside, so he's just going to keep the color gloss. But I think this would also look really cool with the Expel Stealth that he has on his Raptor. You guys remember that I reviewed that. So maybe I'll be able to convince him by the end of this video to go to the Expel Stealth again, and we'll have an Area 51 Bronco with a satin finish. But yeah, that's this first edition. And again, I've already mentioned it like 2 or 3 times in this video, but go subscribe to Nate's channel on his Instagram. He's going to do a lot more with his Bronco than I'm going to do with mine. That's all I'm going to say. Now let's get sum things up for our video on this 2021 Ford Bronco First Edition that is a two-door. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Nate, again, that has the Raptors of Insta YouTube channel and then Instagram page. Go follow him. Links in the description down below. I'll see all of you in the next video.